Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Stuart's Classic Bikes and Cars. Well, today we're back on the Triumph TR7. Last time I was cutting paper templates out and I've since progressed that. That's the paper template I'd cut out. This is the steel template, and as you can see, all I've done is draw around it and cut it out like so. So what I'm doing today, I'm just seeing how good it fits. That's the hole there that was rusted, I've cut out. So this is the paper template I've made that more or less fits the hole that I need to replicate it with steel so I can weld it in. So I've since made this steel piece. On the boot floor, if you can see where my fingers go in there, there's a bend in that going downwards. So what I've done, where that bend is, I put a line on it there. So all I've done is put a slight bend in the steel to replicate this bend in the floor of the boot. So let's just see how close we are with this. It's more or less the same width as the piece I've cut out. And also here you can see that there is more or less the same width as that. And at this side here, that is red. So well, let's just have a little look and see. So we put that in there. And press it into place. You can see that what I want to end up with is a small gap around it. I don't want it neat, butted up all the way around. I want a small gap. Because the small gap, when I start welding, I'll get welding penetration, which means the weld will go all the way through and the back to the front, and that's what I'm hoping to get. So I don't want it butted up totally, I want to end up with a slight gap. So let's just see how I'm doing here. So I've got a black marker pen, and I'm just going to mark off where we're too big. So what it looks like, this, if I put a thin line on there, about 1 millimetre thick, along here, that needs grinding a little bit there, because it's too big, I won't end up with a gap. So we'll do that first. And also, I want to take a little bit off there, off that line. So I want to take about 1 millimetre off there, up here, and 1 millimetre off there. So I've got my glove on. Where's my pen top gone? Anyhow. Okay. Because if you don't put the top pen tops back on, they tend to dry out. So just let me put my face shield on for safety. While I'm just going to trim this a little bit. I only want a small minimal amount of, so I'll turn the grinder on. Well, let's have a little look and just see how close we are now. Now we'll try it in again and just see how close we are. See, that there is still a little bit big here on that diameter. So I want a little bit more off there. Because I want it to fit about there. It's actually a little bit big here also. If you look here at this back. You want a little bit off there to go in there. It's too wide, so that little bit there wants to come off. And it's still a little bit wide there. Yeah, that wants to come off there, like so. So that wants to come off. And a little bit in the corner here to make it a right angle. Because that there is a right angle and this isn't. So that one's altering. Let's do that first and we'll see how we go. But you can see what I'm trying to do. Just bit by bit I'm grinding little bits off this so I can get it to fit perfectly. Because when it comes to welding, it'll just make my life a little bit easier if this fits properly. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep grinding little bits off until I can just push that in there. And then when it's in, I'm going to use magnets just to hold it in. And then once I've got it, it's not quite the right shape, but once I've got it in with magnet and I've got it held down with magnets, I'll just put some little tacks on with my welder. Just every 2 inches, I'll put a tack in the corners. And once I've got it tacked in, I'll make sure it fits correctly. And then when I know it's fit correctly, I'll fill in the gaps between the tacks gradually until I've welded all the way around it. So that's basically how me personally, make these little repair panels. I start with a paper template. Cut it out, try and get that to fit. And once you transfer it to steel, it never quite 100% fits. So you've always got the corners to take out or a little bit to do with the grinder on the steel. So keep following and next time I'll have this piece welded in and then we'll start over here welding these other parts in. I've got lots of repair panels already finished over here, ready to weld in. So with this one to weld in, and also here you can see there's holes in the floor here. Here, look. This panel here needs, that there all the way around there needs cutting out. And I'm going to make a new repair panel to go in there. So stay with me and I'll see you next time. Well, I'll have this one fully welded in and the next one I'll cut out. Thank you very much for watching. Keep watching. Thank you. Bye-bye.